So, good morning, everyone. We'll take 5 minutes to bring yourself to your seats, to your room, to this space. So, imagine wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in your home, uh, the space is filled with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, which pervade all of space. Their minds pervade all phenomena. So we'll start with our morning mantras. If you have a red prayer book, we're on page 84. If you're following online, you'll, I think, see it there. So first, we'll refresh the 3 motivations that we start each day with. To the best of our ability today, to harm no living being with body, speech, and mind. Instead, to work with, to be of benefit, to be helpful as much as we can, with a clear motivation. And then third, to generate the heart of bodhicitta, a mind so wishing to benefit sentient beings that we know we must become a Buddha. We're compelled to become a Buddha in order to benefit them most effectively, as well as ourselves. So we'll support these motivations by beginning with these various mantras. First, beginning with the merit multiplying mantra. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimanasara Mahazawa Hong. Om Mara Mara Bhimanakara Mahazawa Hong. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimanasara Mahazawa Hong. Om Mara Mara Bhimanakara Mahazawa Hong. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimanasara Mahazawa Hong. Om Mara Mara Bhimanakara Mahazawa Hong. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimanasara Mahazawa Hong. Om Mara Mara Bhimanakara Mahazawa Hong. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimanasara Mahazawa Hong. Om Mara Mara Bhimanakara Mahazawa Hong. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimanasara Mahazawa Hong. Om Mara Mara Bhimanakara Mahazawa Hong. Om Sambara Sambara Bhimanasara Mahazawa Hong. Om Mara Mara Bhimanakara Mahazawa Hong. Bless your malas. Bless our feet. Om Great Saragana Hong Krisoha. Om Great Saragana Hong Krisoha. Om Great Saragana Hong Krisoha. Bless our speech. Bring your attention again to the figure of the Buddha in the space in front, or the entire refuge field. It's up to you. To the 3 jewels, I go for refuge. May I become Buddha for the benefit of migrating beings. To the 3 jewels, I go for refuge. May I become Buddha for the benefit of migrating beings. To the 3 jewels, I go for refuge. May I become Buddha for the benefit of migrating beings. A replica of the Buddha comes to the crown of your head and dissolves into you. If you have the empowerment, you meditate on emptiness and arises the deity. If you don't have such an empowerment, you meditate on emptiness and the Buddha reappears at your heart. Visualize that on your tongue from an ah comes a moon disk made of light. On that is a white Om. Around that are the white Sanskrit vowels standing clockwise. Around that are the red Sanskrit consonants standing anti-clockwise. And around that are the blue syllables of the heart of dependent arising mantra standing clockwise. Visualizing these, we recite them in succession, beginning with the innermost. Om a a I o o e I o ma soha. Om a a I o e I o ma soha. Om a a I o e I o ma soha. Om kakagaganga jajajajana chachajajana tatadadana papa baba ma yaralawa shasha sahak shasoha. Om kakagaganga chachajajanya chachajajana tata dadana papa baba ma yara lawa shasha sahak shasoha. Om kakagaganga chachajajanya chachajajana tata dadana papa baba ma yara lawa shasha sahak shasoha. Om Yidharma Hetu Prabhava Hetunte Shantatagato Hewada Tejan Sayo Niroda Evam Bari Mahashramanaya Soha. Om Yidharma Hetu Prabhava Hetunte Shantatagato Hewada Tejan Sayo Niroda Evam Bari Mahashramanaya Soha. Om Yidharma Hetu Prabhava Hetunte Shantatagato Hewada Teshan Sayo Niroda Evam Bari Mahashramanaya Soha. Light from the Om and the mantra garlands goes out in every direction and summons back inspiring powers of speech, both worldly and supermundane. They come in the form of these three mantras, the 7 perfect royal treasures, the 8 auspicious signs, all made of light. Everything auspicious coming in from every direction, dissolving into the mantra garlands and syllables on your tongue. And then the blue heart of dependent arising mantra dissolves into the red consonants. The red consonants dissolve into the white vowels. The vowels dissolve into the white Om, which absorbs into the moon disk. This transforms into an Ah, which melts into white and red nectar, dissolving into the tongue and making it the nature of Vajra. So we'll do our purification practice of the Bodhisattva's Confession of Ethical Downfalls. The recitation's on page 59 in the blue Pearl of Wisdom prayer book, or right there online if you have your screen open. This is a new practice for folks. What we'll be doing is bowing to all these Buddhas in the space in front of us. We can do a very abbreviated prostration, simply putting our hands together and bowing mentally. You can also stand and do the short prostration, or here we'll be doing full prostrations. If you have room in your house, do that. If you don't know what that is, I'm not sure it's there, but on the website under the tab Learn, there is a thing that says Morning Motivations, and that will give you a link to Venerable Children teaching how to do prostrations. So this purification practice, the practice is purification. This is really what our whole practice is about. From now until the moment we become fully awakened, we'll be purifying the defilements of the mind and also cultivating all good qualities that we have in seed form until they're, we've been debating whether you can perfect them, if perfection goes on infinitely or not. But anyway, your mind is very pure. This morning, we'll simply bring to mind a specific negative action or habit of behavior, purifying not the affliction that motivated it, although for sure we want to antedate those. But what we're purifying is the seeds of karma in the mind. So bring to mind a specific negative action that you have committed And now, with some understanding of the Dharma, you have a sense of regret. Not just for the harm that it might have brought to others, which of course is a noble thing to regret, but a wisdom regret that understands too that that action, the results of that action will someday ripen in our own pain and suffering. And wanting to purify that as well. And then having regretted the action, then of course we want to do something about it if we can, and we can. That's what this practice is about. So visualize in the space in front of you, a beautiful golden form of Shakyamuni Buddha, light radiating from his body. His smiling gaze takes in you and all living beings, not with a sense of judgment. That's not his purpose in being here. His purpose is to help us become fully awakened just like he is. And so with loving kindness and a genuine wish to help us purify our minds, he radiates from his heart 34 light rays. On the tip of each of these rays is a Buddha, and then there's another 7. These Buddhas radiating from the heart of Shakyamuni Buddha are also radiating light in every direction. They arrange themselves in rows according to color. Row of 6 blue Buddhas, resembling Akshobhya. 7 white Buddhas, resembling Vairocana. 7 yellow Buddhas, resembling Ratnasambhava. 7 red Buddhas, resembling Amitabha. 7 green Buddhas, resembling Amoghasiddhi. And then the multicolored medicine Buddhas. Yellow, orange, pale yellow, pink, yellow, red and dark blue. All radiating light. Every single one of them looking at us with a wish to be beneficial, with a wish to help us purify our minds. And so we also repair the relationship with the beings around us by generating bodhicitta for all sentient beings. So imagine that you are surrounded by your mother, your father, your family, the beings you've harmed, beings who've helped you in this life, people that you don't get along with are directly in front of you, prostrating between you and the Buddhas. We think for a moment that every single one of these beings actually at some time or another has been helpful to us. Has been kind to us. And in the course of boundless, beginningless, cyclic existence, we've also harmed each other. So now, with a genuine wish to see everyone free of the afflictions that causes us to harm each other, to purify the seeds of karma that are placed when we do that, we'll lead them in these prostrations. So take a moment to generate bodhicitta. And the firm resolve to lead all beings out of cyclic existence. And as we do our prostrations and recitations, imagine that tremendous light pours down from the Buddhas in the space in front, completely purifying our minds, the minds of all the beings around us, and bringing with it the realizations of the path as well. So we start with the multiplying mantra. Om Namo Manjushriye Namo Zushriye Namo Tamashriye Soha. Om Namo Manjushriye Namo Zushriye Namo Tamashriye Soha.
Om Namo Manjushriye Namo Tushriye Namo Tamashriye Soha. I, Thubten Chonyi, throughout all times, take refuge in the Gurus, I take refuge in the Buddhas, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. To the founder, the transcendent destroyer, the oneness God, the foe destroyer, the fully awakened one, the glorious conqueror from the Shakyas, I bow down. To the oneness God, the great destroyer, destroying with Vajra essence, I bow down. To the oneness God, the jewel radiating light, I bow down. To the oneness God, the king with power over the Nagas, I bow down. To the oneness God, the leader of the warriors, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious, blissful one, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the jewel of fire, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the jewel moonlight, I bow down. And the one that's gone, whose pure vision brings accomplishments, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the jewel moon, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the stainless one, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious giver, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the pure one, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the bestower of purity, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the celestial waters, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the deity of the celestial waters, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious good, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious sandalwood, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the one of unlimited splendor, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious light, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious one without sorrow, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the son of the desireless one, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious flower, I bow down. To the one that's gone who understands reality, enjoying the radiant light of purity, I bow down. To the one that's gone who understands reality, enjoying the radiant light of the lotus, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious gem, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious one who is mindful, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious one whose name is extremely renowned, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the king holding the banner of victory over the senses, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious one who subdues everything completely, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the victorious one in all battles, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious one gone to perfect self-control, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the glorious one who enhances and illuminates completely, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the jewel lotus who subdues all, I bow down. To the one that's gone, the foe destroyer, the fully awakened one, the king with power over Mount Meru, always remaining in the jewel and the lotus, I bow down. To the Buddha, renowned, glorious king of excellent signs, I bow down. To the Buddha, king of melodious sound, I bow down. To the Buddha, stainless, excellent gold, I bow down. To the Buddha, supreme glory, free from sorrow, I bow down. To the Buddha, melodious ocean of renowned Dharma, I bow down. To the Buddha, delightful king of clear knowing, I bow down. To the medicine Buddha, king of lapis light, I bow down. All you 35 Buddhas and all the others, those thus gone, foe destroyers, fully awakened ones, and transcended destroyers who are existing, sustaining, and living throughout the 10 directions of sentient beings' worlds. All you Buddhas, please give your attention. In this life and throughout beginningless lives in all the realms of samsara, I have created, caused others to create, and rejoiced in the creation of destructive karmas, such as misusing offerings to holy objects, misusing offerings to the Sangha, stealing the possessions of the Sangha of the 10 directions. I have caused others to create these destructive actions and rejoiced in their creation. I have created the 5 heinous actions, caused others to create them, and rejoiced in their creation. I have committed the 10 non-virtuous actions, involved others in them, and rejoiced in their involvement. Being obscured by all this karma, I have created the cause for myself and other sentient beings to be reborn in the hells, as animals, as hungry ghosts, in irreligious places, amongst barbarians, as long-lived gods, with imperfect senses, holding wrong views, and being displeased with the presence of a Buddha. Now, before these Buddhas, transcended destroyers who have become transcendental wisdom, who have become the compassionate eye, who have become witnesses, who have become valid and see with their omniscient minds, I am confessing and accepting all these actions as destructive. I will not conceal or hide them, and from now on I will refrain from committing these destructive actions. Buddhas and transcended destroyers, please give me your attention. In this life and throughout beginningless lives in all the realms of samsara, whatever root of virtue I have created through even the smallest acts of charity, such as giving one mouthful of food to a being born as an animal, whatever root of virtue I have created by keeping pure ethical conduct, whatever root of virtue I have created by abiding in pure conduct, whatever root of virtue I have created by fully ripening sentient beings' minds, whatever root of virtue I have created by generating bodhicitta, whatever root of virtue I have created of the highest transcendental wisdom. Bringing together all these merits of both myself and others, I now dedicate them to the highest of which there is no higher, to that even above the highest, to the highest of the high, to the higher of the high. Thus, I dedicate them completely to the highest fully accomplished awakening. Just as the Buddhas and transcendent destroyers of the past have dedicated, just as the Buddhas and transcendent destroyers of the future will dedicate, and just as the Buddhas and transcendent destroyers of the present are dedicating, in the same way I make this dedication. I confess all my destructive actions separately and rejoice in all merits. I implore all the Buddhas to grant my request that I may realize the ultimate, sublime, highest transcendental wisdom. To the sublime kings of the human beings living now, to those of the past, and to those who have yet to appear. To all those whose knowledge is as vast as an infinite ocean, with my hands folded in respect, I go for refuge. Woe is me. O spiritual mentors, great Vajra holders, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who abide in the 10 directions, as well as all the Venerable Sangha, please pay attention to me. I, who am named Thubten Chonyi, including circling cyclic existence since beginningless time until the present, overpowered by afflictions such as attachment, hostility, and ignorance, have created the 10 destructive actions by means of body, speech, and mind. I have engaged in the 5 heinous actions and the 5 parallel heinous actions. I have transgressed the precepts of individual liberation, contradicted the trainings of a bodhisattva, broken the tantric commitments. I have been disrespectful to my kind parents, spiritual mentors, spiritual friends, and those following the pure paths. I have committed actions harmful to the 3 jewels, avoided the holy dharma, criticized the Arya Sangha, and harmed living beings. These and many other destructive actions I have done, have caused others to do, and have rejoiced in others' doing. In short, I have created many obstacles to my own higher rebirth and liberation, and have planted countless seeds for further wanderings in cyclic existence and miserable states of being. Now, in the presence of the spiritual mentors, the great Vajra holders, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who abide in the 10 directions, and the Venerable Sangha, I confess all these destructive actions. I will not conceal them, and I accept them as destructive. I promise to refrain from doing these actions again in the future. By confessing and acknowledging them, I will attain and abide in happiness, while by not confessing and acknowledging them, true happiness will not come. So reconnect fully with the visualization, the space in front. Really have a sense that through our actions, through the 4 opponent powers, at least we've done 3 so far, no 4. We've done our determination even in the recitation. That some part of that mind has been purified. And we make a determination not to engage in this specific action again, for as long as we think we can keep it. And then allow the visualization to dissolve back into the heart of Shakyamuni Buddha. All of the Buddhas dissolve row by row. And a replica of the Buddha comes to the crown of your head and the crowns of the heads of all the beings around you. Dissolves into you. And reflect for a moment on how interdependent all the parts of this practice are. The person who engaged in the negative action, the action itself, and the object of that action, completely interdependent, empty of inherent existence. And the same with our purification. The prostrator, the prostration, the object of our prostration. Existing in these ways, mutually dependent, thus empty.
And it is this very reason that purification is possible. And when you're ready, take a seat. If you have a red prayer book, open it to page 92 and just have it ready. That'll be the object of our analytic meditation. And for those online, the verses are already pasted into your text. That'll be our analytic meditation. So we'll start again by bringing yourself back to the cushion. I'll do a little motivation. We'll do the some time of stabilizing meditation. I'll lead a meditation on the Buddha, and then we'll do some analysis on this verse that Geshe Dada will be teaching us today. I'm assuming that everyone online has some understanding of the meditation posture. If not, there's some resources to learn later. For the time being, make sure your spine is straight, feet flat on the floor, or comfortably on your cushion, hands in your lap, left on the bottom, right on top, thumbs together. And bringing your attention back to your body, and then to your breathing. By way of motivation this morning, I want to go back to that question that happened yesterday afternoon. That was such a good one about what blind spots we have as Westerners. And particularly think about how it is that we actually have the potential to become fully awakened. Now, whatever we learned, whether it was explicit teaching as children about the origin of humanity, that suggests that we're pretty much flawed from the get-go and there's only one way to change that. Or whether it was just a
implied as a part of our culture, we have this idea that we're little old us, just little old me. No matter how successful people are in this part of the world anyway, maybe other parts of the world too, we tend to think we're not enough, not good enough. Consequently, how in the heck could I ever be a Buddha? Why even aspire to? And we might be infused with the idea that all the people around us are just as crummy as we are. It's a very common view in our world, I think. And part of the beauty of Buddhism is the Buddha taught, no, that's not the case at all. That the seed of Buddhahood is in the mind of each one of us and in every single being. Why? Because by nature, our mind is clear and knowing. By nature, we have the capacity to cultivate the seeds that are already there, seeds of love, compassion, fortitude, generosity. But the seeds that are also there of our anger, craving, jealousy, pride, greed, all those can be removed. And this is possible because the mind itself is empty of true existence. Empty of being permanent, solid, monolithic. Having an identity in and of itself. The mind itself is the seat of our Buddhahood. Do not look elsewhere for Buddhahood. Buddha nature is within each one of us. And equally important, we hold it in ourselves, but also every single living being. Every human, every animal, every being we cannot see has the same seed. And so if we think about this, and even it's hard to accept, or, we have to look at the reasonings, and we do have to study to actually come to accept this, understand what it means. We think about how mistaken we all are about who we are and what our potential is and what brings happiness. How confused we all are seeking happiness in ways that only bring suffering. When there's this phenomenal resource inside our very own mind, our very own heart. How could compassion not arise for sentient beings? Buddhas, bodhisattvas know this and work tirelessly to help us get it. And as we begin to get it as well, generating a wish to free all beings becomes clearer, I think. So let's set that motivation today as we spend time with Geshe Dazzle, learning the step-by-step methods to purify our mind completely. Motivated by a wish to learn how to free ourselves like the Buddha did, and thus become a resource to be able to liberate all beings from the confusion in our own minds, revealing that Buddha potential and cultivating it to its max. So with that motivation, let's spend a little moment building the visualization of the Buddha in the space in front, and then we'll do some stabilizing meditation either on that image of the Buddha or on your breath, and then we'll continue with the meditation. So if we think about that completely purified mind, free of every defilement, what's left is the exquisite qualities of love, compassion, wisdom, skillful means, the perfections of generosity, ethical conduct, patience or fortitude, joyous effort, concentration, wisdom. Limitless mind, limitless qualities, appearing in the form of Shakyamuni Buddha, space in front. His body appears as golden light. He sits on a throne above an open lotus, the cushions of sun and moon. He wears the robes of a monk, monastic. His right hand is on his right knee. His left in his lap, holding a bowl of nectar, the medicine to cure all our afflictions and all our hindrances. His face is very beautiful. He's smiling, and rays of light pour from every pore of the Buddha's body. On the tip of each ray is also a Buddha. So we'll spend about 10 minutes either focusing on the breath or on the image of the Buddha in the space in front.
You bring your attention back to the Buddha in the space in front, if that's not where it's been or where it is now. And visualizing that he is surrounded by the entire refuge field, meditational deities, other Buddhas, bodhisattvas, arhats, dakas, dakinis, spiritual mentors with beautiful vibrating texts at tables next to them. You're surrounded by all living beings, your mother on your left, your father on your right, family behind, difficult in front. Reflect for a moment about why we take refuge. The difficulties of cyclic existence, and whatever confidence we have in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha to lead us out of it. With the determination to be free from cyclic existence, I wish to free all others. Take refuge together. Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Think for a moment how dependent we are on all these beings, how everything we have and enjoy depends on them, how they want happiness and no suffering just like us. And mostly only meet with problems. And how by becoming a Buddha, we can actually be of benefit to them. Reaffirming our bodhicitta motivation. Carry on. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. The Buddha is extremely pleased with our altruistic intention, and a replica comes to the crown of your head.
He melts into golden light that flows into you. You and the Buddha become inseparable. Feel very close to the Buddha and feel that your mind has been transformed and inspired. Let go of all conceptions you have about yourself, all your self-denigrating thoughts. Imagine these layers of identities dissolving into space. Dissolving, dissolving, and dissolving until you meditate on emptiness itself. A small Buddha made of light appears at your heart and radiates light of wisdom and compassion in all directions throughout the entire universe. And this light radiating from your heart touches every being, transforms all environments into pure lands, transforms all sentient beings into Buddhas, creating perfect circumstances for practicing the Dharma and generating realizations of the past. So imagine how wonderful that would be. So of course, our capacity to bring this about right now is very limited at the least. But if we can cultivate the qualities of Buddha inside ourselves, our capacity to lead beings to the same state, to realize that same potential grows and grows. So with the vision of the possibility and some conviction in it as well, we'll recite the four immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings not be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. Every type of offering, actual and empty. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate all the virtues of myself and others to the great awakening. Make our mandala offering. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strewn Mount Meru, for land, sun, and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. The objects of attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, and strangers, my body, wealth, and enjoyments, I offer these without any sense of loss. Please accept them with pleasure and inspire me and others to be free from the three poisonous attitudes. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. All the beings in the merit field receive our offerings and they are very pleased. And a replica of the Buddha comes to the crown of our heads and we make request. Glorious and precious root Guru, sit upon the lotus and moon seat on my crown. Guiding me with your great kindness, bestow upon me the attainments of your body, speech, and mind. The eyes through whom the vast scriptures are seen, supreme to spiritual freedom, illuminators whose wise means vibrate with compassion. To the entire line of spiritual mentors, I make request. We recite the Buddha's mantra 7 times. Light and nectar pours down through us again, purifying all negativities and obscurations and generating all the realizations of the path. Tayata ho mune mune maha mune soha. 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 Let's take a look at the verse on page 92. Here we have the Tibetan version that includes the thought of dependence. Self is a demonic mind. You have a wrong view. These conditioned aggregates are empty. There is no living being in them. Just as one speaks of a cart in dependence upon a collection of parts, so we conventionally say living being in dependence upon the aggregates. So here, this example of a cart is brought up throughout various scriptures. Sometimes we modernize it to car, but a car is a very complicated object. So this morning we're going to stick with a cart. When you think of cart, what comes to your mind? Imagine one that you've seen, what that word means to you. Think of its function. How you might have used it yourself, or you've seen others use it, or you've seen it in old movies. A cart. And yet when we reflect or examine more deeply, we use this example to
see that it's a dependent phenomenon. Dependent in three ways. This morning we're going to look at just two of those ways. First of all, that card comes into existence depending on causes and conditions. So this is an exercise in imagination. Since we don't know the history of the cart, you don't even have a real cart sitting in front of you. But looking at the cart that you have brought to mind, what kinds of causes and conditions are necessary to bring such a phenomenon into existence? And trace that causal chain back as far as and as wide as you can imagine. So we can see that that cart, whatever you remember seeing, didn't just appear whole out of nowhere. It came into existence through a series of causes and conditions. But even bring it to mind again now,
whole and sitting in front of you in the way that it appears to us. Itself vividly now just a cart. And we'll examine the second way that the cart is dependent, and that's the kind of the nature of this verse. The cart seems so vividly complete, existing in and of itself, radiating its own cartness from its own side in our mind. You can almost see it in front of us if your mind is very vivid in that way. And yet, if we look more closely, this isn't one single unit, one fused thing. The cart has many parts. So reflect too on how the cart is made of parts. Examine what those parts are, identify them, look at them, and then see if any one of those parts is the cart itself. What we're looking for is how do we find the cart within its parts? Where is the cart? We can see the whole thing very clearly and vividly, but if we actually examine among the sideboards, the bottom board, the backboard, the handle, the wheels, the spokes, however your cart is looking, the top, the bottom, the sides, the front, the back, where in those parts is the cart itself? So take it apart in your mind, part by part, examine the parts, and look for the thing that is the cart. And so if we search through the various parts of this simple contraption, really, we don't only not find the cart. If you take the wheel, for example, and look for the wheel within the parts of the wheel, you can't find the wheel. And so forth. And yet, when we bring the cart to mind, there it is very vividly right in front of us again. And as our verse says, just as one speaks of a cart in dependence upon a collection of parts, so we conventionally say living being in dependence upon the aggregates. So in the same way, we search within our own body, our own mind, to find the person. To find the living being. And in the same way, that living being can't be found. So Geshe Dadul today, or the next few days, will take us through the steps of how that works and the various views of how things exist. But we can bring to mind again and again the cart, the table, a chair, the room, our body, our mind, our self. Seeing that we are comprised of parts, none of which is the thing that we think it is. And our conclusion is because nothing exists on its own. The cart depends on its parts for its existence. See that things are more fluid and dependent than we thought. Bring your attention back to the Buddha on the crown of your head. He dissolves into light, absorbs in through your crown, down through the central channel, filling your body with light. Your body and mind become pure and clear and light. Really concentrate on this for a minute or two. And the Buddha reappears at your heart. And let's dedicate the merit. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May the born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Having a monastic mind benefits our Dharma practice, whether we're monastics or lay practitioners. A monastic mind is one that is humble, imbued with the Buddhist worldview, dedicated to cultivating mindfulness, clear knowing, love, compassion, wisdom, and other good qualities. Being mindful of the kindness I have received from all sentient beings, I will relate to them with patience, kindness, and compassion. I will be mindful of my precepts and values and will cultivate clear knowing of my thoughts and feelings, as well as how I speak and act. I will take care to act and speak at suitable times and in appropriate ways, abandoning idle talk and disruptive movements. With respect for others and confidence in my good qualities, I will be humble and easy for others to speak to. In all these activities, I will endeavor to remember impermanence, the emptiness of inherent existence, and to act with bodhicitta.